Hi guys, and welcome to All About the Philippines. Now, today I want to have a review of the video I did a week or so ago about Young Filipina Scam's old man of over 1 million pesos. And of course, that was the story of Mr. Brown from Canada, who was 71 years old. And he married a young lady online who was 20 years old from the Philippines. Now, if you haven't seen the story, go back and check it out, what I've done, and even check out the Raffy Tilfo videos, which will give you the full version of what happened. But in essence, he feels that she scammed him of over 1 million pesos, married him, and then she ran off with her lesbian lover. Now, there was a lot of people on other social media sites were blaming the young girl, saying she was at fault. And yes, maybe to some extent she was at fault. But I wanted to get people's opinions on this, and that's why I did this video, because I tend to think there's more fault here than just the young girl. What about Mr. Brown's fault, being a 71-year-old man, and should be much more careful? He knew she was lying about several things before he even married her, and yet he still went ahead and married her. And even after all this went down, at the very end in this video, he's there still wanting her to go back to Canada with him. Where does the responsibility lie with Mr. Brown? I would say the majority of it comes back to him, to make sure he's looking after himself. And then you've got the mother, who was involved in this as well, the young girl's mother. Now, I think clearly, the one thing I believe the young girl on is that the mother pushed her into marrying Mr. Brown. Obviously, she wanted the daughter to have a better future, but I'm thinking also because the mother thought she could get something out of this as well. And that's just my opinion. So if we review the comments from the video, now I'm not sure how well you can see this. I don't want to zoom in too much on the comments, because I've got a very large screen here and it will distort the comments quite a bit if I zoom in too close, and it will make it harder to read. And I do understand it's a little bit dark in here when I'm doing this, because if I have the blinds completely open, it will then be too light as well. I'll read them out anyway, some of these comments out, so you guys know what everybody has thought about this video. So you've got Craig there. Craig Schuler says, I like my women like I like my whiskey, top shelf. But I have enough common sense to know a man in his golden years has nothing to offer a 20-year-old female except financial encouragement. If you want to play, that's fine, but remember, it's a game and you're only as good as your last move. If you want a wife, one who has some life experience, and avoid heartache and head games. To each their own, he says. Okay, fair enough, Craig. Next one, Tim Luther. He said, that's a good video, and I hope a lot of guys, especially older ones, have heard the story. I myself have a few friends who are married to Filipinas that are much younger than them, and unfortunately, they seem to have a good relationship and pretty good life. So, yeah, that can happen, of course. There's always exceptions to the rule. You know, you can be lucky and you could get a relationship with a young Filipina and a 70-year-old man, who knows? But generally speaking, the chances in such a big age gap reduce the likelihood quite considerably of working out. But as I say, there are always some stories that are different and do succeed. So he goes on, Tim goes on to say, in most cases they're looking for a better life and see foreigner as a way out of poverty. Not always, but a guy has to be realistic and cautious. Absolutely correct there, Tim. You've got to be, thinking of all possibilities. Why are they really wanting to get out of where they are, and what is the relationship they're really looking after in you? Is it the fact you can get them out of poverty, or are they really in it for the right reasons, or maybe a bit of both? Then we've got there Patrick Barker says, long story short, it's the old dude's fault, and he should have known better. Well, straight to the point, Patrick, but yeah, I do believe you're right. And Zockstar there, he says he's a bit of a fan of Rafi Tilfo. He's been watching, he loves watching Rafi Tilfo. But he's saying there that there seems to be more of a thing for scammers, people being scammed by Filipinas on the show these days. And I think you're right. I think people are very interested in the scamming type stories, because I know in the last couple of months, 2-3 months, most of the videos on my channel that are getting a lot of views are the ones on scams. I think if I do the analytics on the last 30 days at least, the top videos are all to do with scams. So I think people do like that. Raymond Mack says he's just an old fool. And Jimmy M, is appreciative of the video, and he said he's learned a lot about Filipinas and Filipino culture and their way of thinking from that. So good, you've learned something there, Jimmy. That's all part of this. It's not just to put Filipinas down or the old guy down or whatever. It's about educating, and so we can think about these things. Or if anyone's thinking about getting a Filipina to marry or in a relationship, this gives them good insight into what can happen if you're not careful. So it's all important. Peter T says it comes down to common sense. And you got Kevin and Gemma there. They're saying, hi Peter, unfortunately this is always going to happen. Trying to have a relationship with a woman in her 20s at 70 is never going to work. And the guys who think it is are brain dead. Well, that's pretty strong thoughts there, Kevin. But people have really got to be thinking about their own protection and be sure the relationship is for the right reasons, as I say. Ace Garvey says, I saw it yesterday and my heart goes out to the poor old fella. He just wanted a companion after a loss of 50-something years, of his wife for 50-something years. Yeah, it's sad. They had one last hug after the show. He showed his emotions and hug, yeah. And, there is a sadness there, obviously, for Mr. Brown. I felt compassion for him as well, but at the same time, he's really got to be, a bit more smarter in the way he did things in the situation. And the signs were there very early on, I believe. So it's not like it was a big surprise at the end, or it shouldn't have been a big surprise at the end. You could see this coming. And Richard Ford, a regular commenter on my videos. Good on you, Richard. Hope you're doing well. He says, interesting topic. The young girl is actually the one being played by her mother and the old man, and they are really both more to blame than the young Filipina. And yes, Richard, 100% on that. That's my view as well. So I'm glad somebody else has also had that view. Tom and Ruth, Philippines Adventures, also another one of my subscribers who are regular commenters. Hope you're doing well too, Tom and Ruth. There you go. Wade do that. Great video. Scammers. Thumbs up. So pretty straight to the point, but yeah, I think you've got to watch out for scammers for sure. And yeah, Leader X said, I looked at comments in those videos, so he's referring to the videos on the Rafi Tilfo site, and the Filipinos were feeling so sorry for the old man. I find that bizarre. And yeah, I mean, they were really turning on their own there. And if I put something slightly negative in a video, I cop it from the Filipino people. So there, they turn on their own pretty quick. Christmas Tree said, predator becomes the prey. Well, that's one way to look at it. Alex Stewart says, you would think they would have known better dating a 20-year-old. Of course, she was after the money. What else would she want off a 71-year-old man? I would say both of them are at fault, and also the mother. So yeah, and that's a common thing that's coming up in a lot of this stuff. So a lot of people are seeing the three of them have played a big part in all of this. So Philippines Fun with JLB and Friends says he hadn't had a bang from his wife of 52 years in about 20 years, so he's trying to make up for lost time. Well, who knows if that's right, JLB, but you might be on the money there. Both these two are at fault, and case to throw the money-grabbing mother too. Yeah, you're on the money there, JLB, no worries. And the last one I want to look at is this David Valère. He goes, don't blame the criminal, you're nuts. So he's talking about, he's saying, well, I'm not blaming the girl, so I'm nuts. But the thing is, she's not a criminal. And I said that in the comment below there. I said, how is she a criminal? She's never stole from him. He admitted that. She's a liar, and that doesn't make anything she did a crime. So she's not a criminal. She didn't steal from him, as I say. So I don't know where David's really coming from. We actually had a long conversation there back and forward. And I won't bore you with all the details, but basically, I don't know if you can see the comment right down the bottom where I said to David, and that is my point at this age. At his age, he should know better and should take responsibility. So in the end, we sort of end up agreeing, I guess, or agreed not to agree, I'm not sure. But anyway, I can't see how you can call her a criminal because she didn't actually do anything wrong. Lying is not being a criminal. Anyway, guys, that's the replies from that video. And I think it was there was a pretty common theme there that all three have a responsibility in this, and that Mr. Brown should have been taking far more responsibility for himself in not to get into that position that he put himself into to basically, as he calls it, be scammed. But as I say, there was no scam going on there at all. The biggest scam was probably coming from the mother pushing the daughter into that relationship that she never wanted to go. And she was happy in a lesbian relationship, and I don't think the mother was happy about that. So the mother might have wanted a bit of cash coming from Mr. Brown towards her. So that's my view anyway, guys, and that's your view. You've all had your say. So again, leave your comments below and tell me if you've changed your opinion since this video. If you haven't seen this video before, go back and have a look, and then come back here and comment and let me know what you think. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell and share the video with all your networks. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Appreciate your support. Take care, and bye for now.